Hey everybody, this is Kohdok here, and, well, a lot of you guys have mentioned that while I've brought up Ninjago in a lot of my videos, I haven't ever really talked about it, and frankly, you're right, that's something I really need to take care of, because, it's an important series that's inspired and enriched a lot of people, but I figured the best way to really start with that was to talk about the series that really influenced me growing up, kind of my Ninjago, although probably the most surprising part is the big construction series that influenced me. Aside from Bionicle, it was actually a Mega Bloks series. Now, Mega Bloks is one of those brands that kind of came out of Lego's patent finally expiring. It's one of the many, many, many brands that was basically Lego only cheaper. It took them a while, but they finally realized that the way you beat Lego is not by making Lego. The way you beat Lego is by making something else. And hence we got Mega Bloks Dragons. I remember the day I first went into my local Toys R Us and saw these things sitting on the shelf, and I was just blown away because the way these things are done, they're not like Legos. The minifigures are super detailed and intricate and antiqued, and these big pre-molded castle wall parts with all of the stones and the antiquing on them and the little parapets and all this stuff. All this incredibly detailed work on it that really set it apart from what Lego was making at a time, and frankly made a lot of the old Lego sets look kind of kiddish and cartoony, aside from these just completely amazing things. And the fact that these walls, they were kind of big, but they're also kind of these thin pre-molded plates, that meant that not only could you build a big, tall castle fast, but they were also super cost-effective. These sets were still a whole lot cheaper than a whole bunch of the things that Lego was putting out, despite all of their incredible detail. Like, you could get enormous castles for like $80, and that whole thing just blew me away. And of course, they came with dragons, which are like these gigantic, posable action figures rather than the little things that Lego put out. These things were huge. They could grasp the minifigures in the palm of their hand, literally. Some of them had a magnet that could pick these guys up, and really, it was spectacular. I mean, I kind of mismanaged my collection, so this is really all I could scrape together, but believe me when I say that these things were big. They were so big, they made Lego blink, and for a little bit, Lego actually kind of tried to copy them a little bit with the big pre-molded pieces. But it wasn't destined to last. Mega Bloks eventually managed to burn it out, like oh so many series tend to, but while it was there, it was fantastic. The story for Mega Bloks Dragons is that these two factions, the Copper Warfang and the Silver Voltaren, are busy fighting over the powerful dragon stones and the ancient golden weapons. Now, something that was kind of ingenious was that they didn't really establish which sides were the good guys and bad guys. You really had to decide for yourself, the Voltaren or the Warfang, which side you were going to cheer for, and each set tended to contain a bunch of each. So you had the copper guys and the silver guys, except for this one little guy called Padraig. Padraig was this little golden armored guy who came in the absolute smallest set. This man would become king. I mean, look at this guy. He went from the humblest of mooks in the smallest set to this guy with this gigantic spear and a mantle and cape that would make any Lego minifigure blush. So yes, somehow in that story, Padraig unified the Warfang and the Voltaren into the Dragar. And good timing too, because the land would soon be invaded by the water-faring Norwegian, gee, I wonder what they're based on, and the Orcish Vorgen. And then the movie came out. And it was awful. I mean, I can see what they were trying to do with Dragons, Fire, and Ice, but they just kind of did everything wrong. The animation looks terrible. The setting looks terrible. The writing is terrible. The pacing is terrible. They just got everything wrong. Honestly, if you want to watch a movie called Fire and Ice, I recommend the Ralph Bakshi 1983 version. It's actually kind of a forgotten classic and is probably the best rotoscoped movie ever made, although be warned, it does have a lot of violence and a lot of exposed skin. You might as well be better off watching one of the Discworld movies. So yeah, the movie kinda killed any enthusiasm I had for the series. I mean, I still have both versions of Padraig because Padraig is just the man, but that's the thing, is eventually these kind of pre-constructed, pre-molded parts, they started to get kind of out of control. They were even bigger and pre-moldier and less compatible with normal building bricks. So, as a result, eventually it kind of crumbled away, finally falling completely apart with the very silly looking, very kind of bright, colorful, kiddish Dragons universe, which was exactly what the original Dragons was trying to avoid. It's actually kind of a shame. But, at the very least, Mega Bloks managed to make LEGO blink. And that's important because not only did it make LEGO more willing to embrace the sorts of properties like Ninjago that they would later come out with, it would also force them to embrace the medium of brick. In fact, even like the classic LEGO castle sets that had these big pre-molded bases, you don't see those with LEGO more at all. I mean, sometimes you see the flat bases, or sometimes you see something like the boat hull, but the boat hull is specifically designed to work, float on water. So there's actually a reason that it's so big. Otherwise, you don't see the huge pieces like this anymore, and I think Mega Bloks Dragons had a bit to do with that. So, in a nutshell, that's Mega Bloks Dragons. It's a pretty fun series to look at. You can probably be better off avoiding the movie, but the sets actually aren't too bad to pick up on eBay. So, until next time, this is Kohdok signing off. See you at Toy Fair New York. Woo!